The 6th-seeded San Francisco 49ers take on the 3-seeded Dallas Cowboys in the mid-afternoon portion of Super Wild Card weekend on a Sunday. Hell yeah! So, are you ready, kids? Aye, aye, Captain! I can't hear you! Aye, aye, Captain! Oh! Who ready for the Niners to get their ass whooped? I am Captain! Oh man, are you ready for this shellacking of a game to be on not just CBS, but on Nickelodeon too? I certainly am. So, here we are. This NFC Wild Card game between the 6th-seeded San Francisco 49ers and the 3-seeded Dallas Cowboys, the NFC East champions. You know, for the 49ers, this is the final part of their delusional playoff prophecy. You know, for 49er fans, I mean, good. I'm glad you might be happy that they're in this playoff spot in the first place. I mean, because they actually did. You know, they had a shitty start at 3-5, and then they went on to win their last. I think it was like 7 of not 7 of 9 games. I can't do math. I'm sorry, but they went on to win a good chunk of their final games to actually make a delusional playoff push. And this was despite Jimmy Garoppolo and a very, very suspect secondary, very suspect corners, very suspect safeties, but a very good defensive line. So they managed to complete this backdoor playoff prophecy and actually backdoored their way into the NFC playoffs, thanks to beating the LA Rams in Week 18 and thanks to Matthew Stafford choking it away. So here comes the second part of this delusional playoff prophecy I've been telling you all, especially the Niners, for weeks. Here comes part 2, if it indeed happens. Getting super smashed in the first round by a Dallas Cowboys team that, you know, for as much as they've been inconsistent for weeks and months, you know, they still possess a good offense, and a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo. So, again, this game is going to be on a network that is very deserving of this game, Nickelodeon. So, you all know which network I'm going to be watching this game. You know, y'all know which network I'm going to be watching my Niners on Sunday. So, going into this game, for the Dallas Cowboys, it was a very interesting season for them. You know, they actually had a lot of questions about Dak Prescott and how they would perform after a devastating ankle injury last year in Week 5 that ended his season. Like, don't watch the video. It's pretty brutal if you've never seen it before. But anyway, you know, for the Cowboys, they were very fortunate. They were very happy in Week 1 of the season that Dak was back to his pre-injury form, playing like as he never got hurt. And you know, the Cowboys were back to normal somewhat. Despite losing the opening game against the Tampa Bay Bucks on a field goal, they managed to win 6 straight. You know, they managed to win 6 straight, and then you get the news that Dak suffered an ankle injury during the Patriots game, and then even after the bye, he can't play against Minnesota. It was a critical Week 8 tilt that would, like, I guess it would mean something in terms of tiebreakers, but nonetheless, when it came back, they would go on this losing stretch against the entirety of the AFC West, and you know, it would enter a little slump of sorts, but you know, they go 6-1 the rest of the way. They would get the 3 seed and as well as the NFC East. For the Cowboys, they boasted the following: you get a on paper talented offense that has a litany of weaponry. You get Dak at quarterback. You also got a good offensive line led by their Pro Bowl guard Zach Martin, and you get a good receiving core of Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Cedric Wilson, and Dalton Schultz. Unfortunately, they lost one of the receivers and Michael Gallup, so that's unfortunate for them. You also got a defense that has a really good defensive line and a good pass rush, and you got a secondary that's headed by its two-headed attack and corner Tyron Smith and defensive player of the year candidate Micah Parsons. linebacker. But the thing is, for the Cowboys, they have two glaring weaknesses. On offense, they have a little bit of an issue with consistency. 1 week they're beating the brakes off of Washington, and then the next week they're struggling to get anything going against the Arizona Cardinals. These are just examples, but you know what I'm getting at here. Like throughout the second half of the season, the offense was like in this cycle of inconsistency. Dak would do good in one game, like he would slice and dice defenders and then score like a touchdown or two, but then the next week he would struggle. So it's like, what do you need him to do to like consistently win games? So for this Dallas team, both sides click in there and they have a good game. But if, let's say, the offense doesn't do well, then the entire team struggles. But if the defense doesn't do well, then the offense struggles too. So it's a matter of like everything clicking for the Cowboys to win games. And again, if the Cowboys offense struggles, then the rest of the team will eventually struggle too. But still, Cowboys are 12-5. They get the 3 seed in the NFC East. They decided to pound the pudding on the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 18, which was pretty much a glorified tune-up match. Meanwhile, for the 49ers, their 2021 was pretty much like a crazy-ass roller coaster ride. But heading into their season, they had a lot of their questions to answer for their own. How would they bounce back from all the injuries from the 2020 season? How would the defense look with new coordinator DeMeco Ryans and Richard Sherman was not there anymore? And would they see their third overall pick and rookie quarterback Trey Lance play or start any games at some point? So you get some questions answered, but then you also get, again, this tale of two halves during this season. You get a 2-0 start, but then you proceed to lose the next 4 or 5 games. And a lot of that had to do to either questionable decisions by Kyle Shanahan during the game, or the bad play of the secondary, or starting quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. So a lot of that losing early in the season had to come down to all three of those factors, especially the secondary and Jimmy G. That's why we call him Jimmy Garbage Fail. So anyway, the second half of the season was where like they decided to start winning games for just the fuck of it, instead of like, oh, let's see what Trey Lance has to offer. So they win their final 7 or 9 games, and then when they beat the Rams in Week 18, and thanks to Matthew Stafford choking an interception to Ambry Thomas, that's when they officially get the backdoor slide into the playoffs as the 6th seed. So they're 10-7. They get the 6th seed. You get 3 teams representing the NFC playoffs. The Niners are their 3rd team, obviously. For the Niners, they boast an offense that has a very talented receiving core. You got Deebo Samuel. He actually recently won the Nickelodeon Valuable Player for Week 18, so that's something, I guess. Brandon Ayuk, he had a not so great first half of the season, but then you saw him really come on during the second half. George Kittle, the All-Pro tight end from years past, he's been very good this season. And in recent weeks, Jawan Jennings has been coming into his own as the 3rd wide receiver of this offense. Again, though, here's the thing. This offense mainly centers around the rushing attack, led by rookie running back Elijah Mitchell, who's been doing a rock solid job in place of the starter Raheem Mostert. He was lost for the season back in Detroit all the way in Week 1 in September. But the thing is, for the Niners, if they can't get the running game going, Kyle Shanahan has to go to Jimmy Garoppolo. That could be a 50-50 train wreck right there. And there's reason why Jimmy Garoppolo has been called Jimmy Garbage Fail on this show, because he has a tendency to either be like a slice and dice quarterback, like he can throw good, he can do good throws, but then there's a big tendency where you just stand in the pocket as he stuck to the ground like his feet were super glued, And then he has those bad traits where he holds onto the ball for too long, where he takes the sack, or he decides to not to move in the pocket, or not do anything with the ball. He also overthrows his receivers, and a lot of times he throws it too high, where the receiver's knees get knee busted, and he plays kind of erratically, and his erratic playmaking often leads to turnovers. So he has gotten it under control in recent weeks, aside from the Tennessee Titans game. But when those bad traits show for Jimmy Garbage fail, it puts the Niners in bad positions, or it changes the momentum of the entire game against the 49ers. So defensively, they have a talented front seven. You get a defensive line led by Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead. And, the rest of the defensive line has really broke out in the second half of the season. You got reserves like Arden Key, Sansa Mbuka, Jordan Willis. They have been really helping out, generating pressure against opposing quarterbacks. Like, D'Amico Ryans has been doing a stellar job with this defensive line. You also still have all-pro linebacker Fred Warner. I mean, he hasn't had as good of a season as last year, but still, he's been doing a good job in the last 2 months. And, you got the backup linebackers Azeez Al-Shaair and Dre Greenlaw contributing as well. But here's the problem here. One of the two biggest weaknesses for the 49ers is their secondary, their corners. Even before their starting corner Jason Verrett went down in week 1, their secondary was not good. It was giving up a lot of big plays. Yes, this was also in Detroit. And then once Jason Verrett went down, that whole weakness just got bigger. And then what did the Niners decide to do to replace Jason Verrett? They decided to go out and get washed-ass Josh Norman. This is the same Josh Norman that got trucked by Derrick Henry in the 2020 season. And yet the Niners decided to sign his asshole. So Josh Norman's washed ass all season long gets repeatedly burnt like an over-toasted fruitcake. And, he is often the lead guy to get taken to officiating jail, gets handcuffed for pass interference because he doesn't know how to cover for shit anymore these days. And, the corners like K'Wan Williams, Emmanuel Mosley, they've been bad for like half of the season. And, they've been committing pass interference themselves. But the one thing that I can give them a plus on is getting critical stops when it matters most. And I guess you could give a plus on that. The problem is they still give up big plays. And, they also give up small plays that turn into big plays. So for the Niners, the secondary remains the biggest weakness. But, they have some future hope with rookie corner Ambry Thomas showing development, and the veterans Emmanuel Mosley and K'Wan doing better late in the season. So this team boasts a talented core on both sides, but two glaring weaknesses in Jimmy G and the secondary, it could hinder them from achieving playoff success. So some storylines heading into this game. You gotta keep an eye on how Trent Williams is gonna be, how healthy he's gonna be. He plans to play in Sunday in Dallas, but you just gotta keep an eye on how healthy he's gonna be. This is going to be an interesting matchup between Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons against the 49ers offensive line. Micah Parsons usually tends to go on the right side. So yeah, Tom Compton and I'm not sure if it's Lincoln Tomlinson or Daniel Brunskill that's on the lined up with Tom Compton, but good luck with that. So some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the Cowboys. You got to fluster Jimmy G with the furious pass rush. They fought a really good defensive line led by DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory. And the Niners offensive line, they could face some trouble against them. And if the Cowboys can generate some pressure up front, well, it'll get Jimmy G out of sorts and force him to get the ball out early and into mistakes. And, Dak Prescott and that offense need to show some consistency. And, they had a good game in Philadelphia, but, granted, Philadelphia was playing its backups. It was pretty much a tune-up game. So here in this game, if Dak is having issues again, Another week where he's having like trouble like getting the hot hand started. This Cowboys team is gonna get out of sync again, and it's gonna affect the defense. It's gonna affect it could affect special teams. Like if this offense doesn't get started hot right away, they're gonna fall behind relatively quick. For the 49ers, you got to dial up as much pressure as you can against a good Cowboys offensive line. I think, in my opinion, the Cowboys barely give up enough sacks, and they don't let Dak Prescott get hit that much. And that's mainly thanks to their offensive line led by Pro Bowl guard Zach Martin. And I think there's another Pro Bowl guard in there as well, another starter. But the Niners have a much better and a more formidable defensive line that can be a powerful counter to that. So defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans, he has to dial up, he has to call some plays that can get as much pressure on the O-line, and so they can get after Dak. You gotta go with what works best, and that's the running game, because the Cowboys' run defense is actually one of their biggest weaknesses. And for this game, this is a game where Kyle Shanahan is one of his preferences. It could shine here, so it's a good spot for Shanahan to dial up some running plays for his running backs, Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson, and Trey Sermon. It's a good spot for them. And then you just gotta have to avoid a slow start. You don't want to avoid a situation where Jimmy G can't get the offense producing early in the first quarter, and then Dak Prescott start burning the secondary, and this happens very often, and the Niners are gonna have to make another second half comeback. It might not end but it be in a situation like the Rams game in week 18. So if they get off to another slow start, especially on offense, where you see Jimmy Garbage fail strike again, they could fall into another big hole in a big hurry. So this is going to be a interesting game. This is going to be a game where the Niners could win. Like this, like if they were facing the Bucks or the Packers, no, they're not winning that game. But here, I mean, you can give a slight edge to the 49ers, but the Niners have a better quarterback. I mean, on his best day where he's consistent. I mean, the Cowboys also have their own issues. They also have their own issues at running back, but the Cowboys have a more quality quarterback that can at least lead them to a victory past a historic rival. And it's not a slight against the Niners. They also have talent. They also have playmaking to get it done. But what can hold them back is if Jimmy Garbage fail, hit that side of Jimmy Garoppolo rears its ugly head. If the turnovers start piling on against a semi-good Dallas defense, it's gonna affect the entire 49ers team. And if the secondary can't match up the production from the Rams game heading into this game against Prescott, yeah, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. So I'm gonna roll with the Cowboys, and who knows, every time I pick against the 49ers, good things have happened to them. So I'll do it here again. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys over the 49ers. I mean, hey, a loss in the wild card isn't the end of the world, because all it means is that the Niners, they shouldn't have been here in the first place, and having this playoff spot is just validation somewhat for the 49ers to potentially keep Jimmy G around for next season, when in all reality they should be starting Trey Lance. They should start seeing what he has in store as a starter. So overall, I mean, it's you should have already seen what Trey Lance has got already, but this is somewhat concerning for Niners fans, especially me, because if they go far, they go deep into the playoffs. They beat the Cowboys here, and they somehow beat the Packers, and Jimmy G plays well. Shit. The Niners might consider keeping Jimmy G around, and then let Jimmy Garbage fail start over Trey Lance 2022. But I mean, win or lose or Sunday, win or lose or on Sunday, there's always that one important thing. There's that one important thing that everyone, whether you're a Niners fan or a Cowboys fan or just a general NFL fan, that you have to do on Sunday. And And that's this. This is what you have to do. You got to go on NFLNickPlay.com. You got to vote. You got to go on that website during the game, before the game, halftime. I don't know when they're going to do it, but you have to assure that one man and one man alone wins the most coveted prize in all of sports and entertainment. And that is the Nickelodeon Valuable Player Award, the MVP, first won by one Mick Trubisky last year, and he's gonna hand that award down. He's gonna pass the torch down to one man only in this game, and Nickelodeon MVP must be given to one James Richard Garoppolo. You all have to do it. Everyone needs to do it. Vote for Jimmy G Garoppolo. Hashtag Jimmy G for MVP. Hashtag Jimmy G for MVP. Do it. Do it on Sunday. I don't want Dak. I don't want George Kittle. I don't want Debo. Not Ayuk. Not Micah Parsons. Not Zeke. Jimmy James Garoppolo.